What is up, Jamily? This is JamiroFan 2000 here with yet another episode of JamiroFan Talks About, where I discuss the past, present, and future of the last 25 years of Jamiroquai and their musical discography. With 5 single releases in the books for Jamiroquai for this new album cycle for Jamiroquai from 2017's Automaton, and with us entering the second year of the touring and of course the support of this new Jamiroquai album, I thought I'd record a new episode of JamiroFan Talks About, looking back at so far 5 single releases of remixes, and seeing how unique this single release cycle has been compared to past single release album cycles for the band Jamiroquai. And this album cycle of remixes so far 4 singles worth of remixes have been released. There's not been a single release yet for the most recent single release of Nights Out in the Jungle, at least for remixes. And for this cycle has had some very interesting remixes and a bit of a mixture of the old style of Jamiroquai remixes meeting the new style of Jamiroquai remixes. And what I mean by this is the Automaton's single releases, specifically the ones for Automaton by Deetron, and a couple of the remixes like the Franc Moody for Superfresh, and now these new ones that I previously reported by Jurg Jansen for the single Summer Girl have seen a bit more of a melodic emphasis rather than a emphasis on using every aspect of the original song in the remix. And what I mean by this is a lot of these remixes that have come out during the Automaton cycle, specifically for the singles Automaton and Superfresh and now Summer Girl, have had more of an emphasis on the melodic side of the song rather than the lyrical side of the song. And this kind of carries over from the influence Automaton as an album has had comparative to the original Jamiroquai discography. And it's very interesting. It's something that's never happened before in the Jamiroquai discography. If you go back and look at all the old remixes from previous album cycles, at least within the confines of the new sound cycle, the remix is kind of stuck to a blueprint of a lot of lyrical stems, a lot of melodic stems, and a lot of instrumentation stems with being utilized in those remixes. At least for Automaton now, it seems it's kind of the emphasis has gone more towards the melodic side. And if you listen to the remixes, specifically for Jurg Jansen's remixes of Summer Girl, you notice that there's not very many lyrical fragments used in those remixes, and it's more of a bit of a free-form electronic kind of experimentation going on. And this is very interesting because this has never been seen in Jamiroquai remix history. But as a whole, these remixes for this album cycle have been very, very interesting. As for the best remixes of this cycle, if you're an old school fan, you will instantly gravitate to the Fred Falke remixes that were done for the second single, Cloud 9. If you're an old fan like me, who is more adept and more open towards experimental stuff for remixes, I really liked the Newbie extended mix by Jurg Jansen for the single Summer Girl, and this is. And I like experimental stuff. At least that's my taste as a Jamiro fan. I really like the experimental stuff in remixes. I mean, yeah, people really loved the instant hit the dance floor, great traditional Jamiroquai remixes that have been brought to us by the likes of Franc Moody and Fred Falke. But sometimes I like the guys that come out, these DJs like the Solomons and the Oliver Heldens and now the Jurg Jansens, who come completely out of left field and take a song and make a very, very interesting remix variation that we'd never heard before. And this Automaton cycle of remixes has been very interesting for pretty much all the aspects that I just articulated in this episode. But I look forward to seeing hopefully potentially some remixes being released by the band and by some other really cutting-edge DJs for the 5th and remaining single from this album cycle for Automaton with Nights Out in the Jungle. And I'm sure I wouldn't put it past JK and the band them taking a turn in the studio and doing some remixes to come out. We still have a few leftover tracks hopefully to be released by the band from the new year, and we're still waiting with bated breath for those to be released. And maybe JK might slip out a surprise remix for Nights Out in the Jungle, given that he did say in a previous interview in the last few months ago that the band is yet to release the full extended version of Nights Out in the Jungle that JK had alluded to, and that he wanted the fans to hear. So maybe we could be expecting an accompanying remix for this to come out. But overall, this album cycle of remixes has been very, very cool. It's a bit of a polarizing time for some fans, at least for these remixes. I've seen the online debates from several members of the Jamly who don't like these new remixes and want them to go back to just the traditional style remixes, the Fred Falke kind of stuff and the David Morales type stuff. But things change, the band changes, the sound changes, technology changes. So some of our appetites for remixes might change, and the remix itself may evolve in the upcoming decades and in this distant future. So overall, I think it's been a very good album era for remixes so far, and all these DJs they picked from Solomun to Alvo Heldens to Franc Moody to Deetron, they've all brought their own creativity to emboldening and making these Automaton singles that have been released even better. Some cases much better, some cases not so well received, but all in all, very interesting new experiences being additionally brought to this new material brought by Jamiroquai with their 8th album, Automaton. And there's my new episode of JamiroFan Talks About, where I talk about the remix history so far of Automaton so far, with 5 singles in the 10. Did you enjoy? Are there any of these remixes that you really enjoy or do not enjoy? I'm very interested in hearing your opinions on what you think of all the remixes so far of this album cycle of Automaton for Jamiroquai. So please feel free to leave your comments down in the YouTube comment section down below, and also be sure to keep your eyes down there too for some Spotify links to all the remixes that have so far been released by this album cycle on Spotify for Automaton. And as always, this is JamiroFan 2000. I'll see you again really soon with another JamiroFan Talks About and more Jamiroquai related videos here on the JamiroFan 2000 YouTube channel. Bye, everybody.